Yeah, I know you've seen something like this before, but that doesn't make it any less beautiful. GRIS is one of the best and most beautiful games I've played all year. From the first moment I looked at it, I knew I would love it, with its watercolor palette, its dreamy elegance, and its siren-like soundtrack all combining in perfect measure, as if to say, hey, stop grinding weapons and experience points and rare currencies and all that other nonsense. Come here, sit down, relax, inhale, experience something worth a damn. I had hoped that GRIS would deliver on this promise, but what I didn't hope for and I didn't expect was just how well this game would play, how brilliantly its levels and puzzles would be designed, or how strong an emotional response the game would evoke from me at its pivotal moments and its conclusion. GRIS is a game developed by the newly formed Nomada studio based in Barcelona. It's headed up by two former Ubisoft developers who happened to meet an artist at a party. They liked each other and said, hey, you know what? We should make a video game. So they did. The studio expanded to around 17 or so people by the end, with their funding coming from the always avant-garde Devolver Digital, whose impressive portfolio includes genital jousting. I'd show you some gameplay of that, but my video would get demonetized. Just imagine hungry hippos, except the balls are penises, and you're halfway there. On the surface, GRIS has but one objective: be beautiful. Be visually beautiful. Be orally beautiful. Be spiritually beautiful. This is a game where the developers would have spent far more time looking at the faces of the playtesters than the data that might have come from their playtest sessions. Games are often all about the numbers. It's not like that here. GRIS is just trying to be beautiful, and it succeeds spectacularly. GRIS delivers this beauty to you by degrees. You'll begin in a world of grey, and as you move through, more colour is introduced. The chapters are named for their colours, in fact. Red, yellow, blue, and so on. I always think it's so silly to describe beauty in a video review of a video game. I mean, you can see it right there on screen for yourself, and you'll decide if it's beautiful or not. So, in that spirit... Much of GRIS's beauty exists in its soundscape. I think that next year when the Game Awards roll around, you'll see GRIS nominated for sound design. It has an ASMR-like attention to detail that I've never seen in a game like this, and you'll so often remark the tiny, quiet sounds that you create as you move through the world. Someone really sat down and thought about every single possible sound and how exactly each of them should be heard. And as soon as you notice the technical mastery that's gone into it, it's like you've accessed an entirely new way to play and appreciate this game. The music is, I mean, it's perfect. It's just perfect. It couldn't possibly be a better fit for the world, for the characters, for the moments, or for the overall message of the game. It's just wonderful, and I will listen to its soundtrack the same way I do the Journey soundtrack, or the Shadow of the Colossus soundtrack, or the Skyrim soundtrack. it immediately takes a place among them in my personal library. It would be easy to write GRIS off as simply a 2D journey, clone, or ripoff. After all, there's a lot that's similar aesthetically. Even the character's flowing dress evokes memories of Journey's robe. But there's a lot more to GRIS than just its looks and its sounds. As much as I adore Journey, and it is unquestionably one of my favourite video game experiences ever, I will not argue that it is a good game. It is a push-forward sensory experience, an extraordinary one to be sure, but I have the same relationship to it that I do some of my favourite albums or movies, or watching David Attenborough's Blue Planet. The fact that Journey is a video game is rather incidental to my enjoyment of it. It does not utilise the virtue of its medium, interactivity. GRIS is not like this. GRIS is a 2D platforming video game. The platforming is basic, with the gameplay revolving around Metroidvania-like progression through brilliant levels, solving clever puzzles along the way. The level design is shockingly good. It's a single, uninterrupted world you'll traverse through, and the way it weaves back on top of itself without you even noticing never ceased to amaze me during my playthrough. So often I was convinced that I was going the wrong way or backtracking needlessly, but in the end, every single time, I would be subtly and expertly guided by the level design to my destination. It's a wonderfully serene feeling to be in the hands of such competence. The puzzles GRIS lays down do not ask much of you, but they will force you to think laterally about the abilities you gain throughout your playthrough, and they'll always engage you and they'll never repeat themselves. You'll traverse land, sea, and air, you'll transform, you'll use light and wind and song as your tools. Much like the level design, the puzzle design will guide you without patronizing you. Nothing was ever unclear, nor was it overt. It was just right. GRIS is available on Steam and on the Switch. It will be a massive success on both of those platforms, and it will surely then be announced for PS4 and Xbox. It sells for around about $20 or so depending on your region, and it takes about 3 and a bit hours to complete. There is infinite replay value in it, in the same way that your favourite album is replayable. It's replayable in the same way that I continue to do a Journey playthrough every few months when I just want to experience something beautiful. GRIS is one of the best games I have played this year, and it's one of the best games in its genre. It's spectacular by every single metric, and I cannot recommend it to you more highly. Please, support this developer and buy this game.